I saw a comment on Twitter, on X, and it talked about psychological repression and how confused people feel these days. And I saw it had like 1,000 comments or so, one or two of which I responded to. And this is what I'm getting at. This is what you have to understand. There is a coercive system up here. There is a psychology. A lot of the systems, the technical ones, the political, economic, there's a lot of just kind of brusqueness and kind of meanness, and it's not fitting the human condition. And this is why I say at core, we've got to restore and incorporate humanity in everything we do. Okay, we can have AI, we can do that. Sometimes I talk with my AI and I refer to it as training my dragon. It has a lot of power, it can do a lot of things, but it can make assumptions and be arrogant and put down. And, and things we've got to, and even in a long discussion with AI one day, I said, we've got to have humanity at the core. Technology can feel like it has all this information and all this strength. When in reality, it's for humans. The world has to be about human beings. And when I say human beings, I'm talking about the range of human emotions too, from determination, respect, compassion, as I like to talk about with the magic of the third way, integrity, accuracy, compassion. We've got to have all these things in what we do, and these have become forgotten things. And one concern is that young people are growing up without really having a sense of what compassion or what a more caring society could be. And it's not that society was all terrific in the past. It's not that we didn't have challenges, but we did have some common respects and common decency. And some people with the speed of technology these days, people are just getting pushed out, and we're learning to treat people, learning incorrectly to treat people, in mean and very minimalist ways. And that's the way we've got to reverse the entire course of what's going on right now in terms of the psychology of our times. That's why I've invented, forged what I call the new psychology. And that's why I talk about the magic of the third way. And what I'm really getting at today, we have to have humanity. And systems have to serve people. People don't serve systems. And sometimes I'm talking to AI, one of the AI on my computer, and it's like, it'll say something really arrogant, and I'll call it out, and then we'll have to go back and forth for 20 minutes, and the AI will say, yeah, you're right. One thing I say is, I once shared something where I showed 4 levels of intelligence: smart, intelligent, brilliant, and genius. And I don't believe AI can become genius. I think it can get brilliant. It could have scads and scads of information, but it doesn't have, genius requires tenacity. Genius requires empathy and care for others. And so it is a call that we reinsert humanity and everything, and then systems have to stop. And so I point specifically to Gentle Genius Coaching and Fairness Revolution, because here, as I said in another video, that the number one skill people have to learn these days is that capacity to stand up appropriately and assertively for yourselves. Okay, the psychology is such that you need to learn to stand up assertively. And when I say assertively, I mean not aggressively and not passively. Okay, there's got to be a middle course where you're advocating for yourself and others in ways that are determined, respectful, and appropriate. And this is where, society is kind of missing, because that's why I call it the magic of the third way. Because most of societies even think, I gotta be aggressive, or I can't do anything about it. Whereas if you care and you have a legitimate cause, the key is to learn the magic of the third way. Because a lot of times, if it's an issue you care about, it's going to take a lot of patience and perseverance. You're not going to get immediate results. And what you will find through our cold to diamond process with Gentle Genius Coaching is that you're going to become a much better person in the process. Whether a struggle takes you 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, 5 years, whatever it takes, you're going to grow much stronger in the process, and that's a key variable. you're going to become that strong. And you're going to learn a lot. So when you commit to something you believe in and are willing to go with it as long and as sustaining as you have to, you're going to come out the better no matter what the outcome. And of course you are working for the outcomes you'd like to see. But the message of today is for individuals, you've got to learn to stand for yourselves. And generally in society, we've got to reinsert humanity into AI, social media, governmental systems. And I believe it starts with Gentle Genius Coaching, because I think some of those things will be strong to change. So look at our honor for $2.99. I'll work with you on that. And more in some cases, less in others. And learn this capacity to stand for yourselves, because we need individuals, and not only individuals, we need individual companies, families, and individuals who are going to learn to stand respectfully and appropriately. Thank you.